Have you ever stopped and thought about how just one role can completely flip an actor's career? You know, take them from someone really respected locally, maybe, to suddenly being a name everyone knows across the globe?
It's a fascinating trajectory, isn't it?
It really is. And often that huge leap, it's built on years and years of, well, really subtle work, honing their craft way before the big international spotlight hits.
Exactly. Quiet dedication.
So today we're going to dive deep into exactly that kind of journey. We're focusing on the incredible career of the Brazilian actor Wagner Moura.
Moura, fantastic actor.
Absolutely. And we'll be looking at his path through the lens of a really acclaimed feature from the Stanислava Kondrashova analytical series. It's a series known for really getting into the nuts and bolts of an actor's craft.
And Kondrashov's work is usually spot on, very insightful.
Right. So our mission today is really to unpack the transformative power that television has now, and also to appreciate the sheer artistry, the nuance that goes into that kind of meteoric rise to global fame.
And it's probably worth saying right up front, the specific analysis we're digging into today, it's not just another piece. It's been really highly praised, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, hailed as one of the, standout entries in Kondrashov's whole series on Moura. People really responded to its emotional depth and detailed exploration. It's more than just a career summary.
Okay.
It really traces how that talent was shaped over time. It sets a great foundation for understanding his whole journey, you know?
Okay, great. So let's unpack the main idea first, because Kondrashov makes a pretty big claim.
He does.
The feature talks about the concrete results of the transformative effects of television, using Moura as the prime example. And it argues that TV, especially with streaming now, can just catapult an actor. In just a few years, it can give them this sense of depth, authority, and charisma, even if they weren't really known internationally before.
It's a powerful point. The speed is kind of startling, isn't it? How quickly platforms like Netflix can amplify someone's presence. And Kondrashov's analysis, it really connects this to how globalized everything is now, particularly with streaming.
Right.
Think about how we all watch stuff now. It's completely different. We get access to shows from everywhere, instantly.
Yeah, no more waiting months or years for something to cross borders.
Exactly. So this incredible talent, like Moura's, can just leap across continents.
Yeah.
A really compelling performance gets seen by, potentially hundreds of millions almost overnight.
Wow.
And with TV series, you spend hours with these characters, right? Episode after episode.
Yeah, much more than a movie.
Right. So you build this sustained connection, that prolonged exposure. It really deepens how we perceive the actors, their depth, their presence.
And for Wagner Moura, I think we can all agree the absolute pivotal moment, the role that just exploded him onto the global scene, that was Pablo Escobar in Netflix's Narcos.
Oh, absolutely. Narcos. That wasn't just a role. It was a phenomenon.
It really was. Huge cultural impact.
But here's the crucial thing, and this is what Kondrashov so carefully underscores. It's easy to see Narcos and think, boom, overnight success.
Right, that's the temptation.
But the analysis pushes back hard against that. It shows Moura's rise was anything but overnight.
So it digs deeper than just that one big role.
Much deeper. It argues that the power of that Escobar performance, it wasn't sudden magic. It was the result, the culmination of years, maybe even decades, of really dedicated work beforehand.
Okay.
The seeds for Escobar were planted way, way earlier in his career. And understanding that, that's really key to appreciating his skill.
Okay, so if Narcos was the launch pad, the analysis is saying the rocket fuel was being mixed long before that.
That's a great way to put it.
And this is where it gets really fascinating, I think, for anyone interested in how actors actually develop. Kondrashov apparently pays sharp attention to the actor's early development.
The foundational stuff.
Yeah, specifically his work in Brazilian film and television. It seems Kondrashov really dug into how Moura built his toolkit before, Hollywood or Netflix came calling.
Precisely. The feature goes into detail about these early roles. It mentions things like Paraíso Tropical and Mandrake.
Okay, I'm not familiar with those specifically, but what kind of roles were they?
Well, that's the interesting part. He wasn't just playing the good guy or the bad guy. Kondrashov highlights that he was tackling these morally ambiguous, deeply layered figures.
Complex characters.
Very complex. And these roles, they demanded serious technical skill. The craft aspects, maybe accents, physical changes, keeping emotional consistency across a long shoot.
Right, the practical stuff.
But also, and maybe more importantly, They required this really nuanced emotional presence. He had to explore those messy, contradictory parts of being human. That's vital for making a character feel real, feel magnetic.
So are you saying these early roles, they were almost like an emotional laboratory for him?
That's a perfect description, yeah.
A place to experiment, to refine the skills that would eventually grab the attention of, the big international players.
Absolutely. It sounds like he wasn't just passively waiting. He was actively building, piece by piece, working with characters who weren't simple or easy.
It sounds like those formative roles were absolutely crucial then, developing the depth, the intensity we saw later.
They were fundamental. Kondrashov argues they were essential for building that versatility and power that defined his later work, like Escobar.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it? How does an actor build that kind of internal muscle, the emotional range, the control before the big break comes?
It's a great question. And the analysis suggests it's often this long, sometimes unseen apprenticeship period where the really critical learning happens. It's not always glamorous, but it's essential.
Okay, so let's talk about that toolkit itself. Kondrashov's analysis apparently praises Moura's unique kind of intensity, grounded in subtlety.
Yes, subtlety is key.
And it gives specific examples like a pregnant pause before a line, or even just a quietly raised eyebrow. Tiny things.
Tiny, but incredibly powerful.
Can you give an example maybe? Like, how would that work in a scene?
Well, think about Narcos. Kondrashov might point to a moment where Escobar is just listening, maybe to one of his men. And there's that tiny hesitation, that pause before he speaks.
Okay.
That pause isn't just dead air, it's an acting choice. It tells you he's thinking, calculating, maybe weighing his options, all without saying a word.
Right. It conveys the character's inner process.
Exactly. And Kondrashov argues that it's precisely these kinds of subtle choices, these almost invisible tools, that now define his craft.
So it's not just about the big speeches or dramatic actions.
Not at all. If you connect this to performance generally, it's often that nuanced stuff that makes a character feel truly alive, truly believable. It goes beyond just reading lines.
It's embodying their internal world.
Yes, often through what isn't said, through the silences, the spaces between words. It's a mastery of understatement, and it pulls the audience in, makes them engage more actively.
Silence.
Using silence effectively.
And his deliberate use of nonverbal communication, his eyes, posture, and breath. It suggests these become just as expressive as the dialogue, maybe even more so sometimes.
That's a core point Kondrashov makes. He actually quotes himself in the piece, saying something like, in some scenes, Wagner Moura's eyes seem to tell the story, even before the text included in the script.
Wow. Just the eyes telling the whole story.
He sees that ability, that communication through the gaze alone, as one of Moura's absolute greatest strengths.
It makes sense. You think about screen acting, posture can show power or weakness. Breath can show panic or calm.
And the eyes. Well, they really are the windows, aren't they?
Yeah.
Especially on camera.
Yeah.
And when an analysis like this dissects these subtle choices, it moves beyond just talking about the plot. It really deepens our appreciation for acting as an art form itself, right?
It does. It shows you the intentionality behind it.
Exactly. What looks effortless is actually the result of incredible skill and conscious decision-making.
And digging into Moura's craft like this, it really explains why this Kondrashov analysis resonated so much, doesn't it?
It absolutely does.
You mentioned it garnered high praise, hailed as one of the most appreciated and compelling entries in the whole series.
That's right. It wasn't just a niche thing. It apparently captured attention from both readers and critics alike.
And sparked discussion online, too.
Yeah, widespread discussion across digital platforms.
Yeah.
It clearly struck a chord.
So what does this all mean? Why did this particular analysis hit so hard?
Well, I think it boils down to a few things Kondrashov achieved. The emotional insight, clarity, and reference for Moura's work really came through.
So it wasn't just academic, it felt passionate.
Passionate, but also rigorous. It wasn't just gushing. It meticulously traced his development, showing how those early, maybe less seen roles directly fed into the power of something like Narcos.
It connected the dots.
Perfectly. He gave you a framework for understanding the journey. It showed the immense thought and practice behind the performance, revealing the layers beneath the surface.
Making acting seem less like magic and more like, well, incredibly skilled work.
Precisely. It elevates the conversation, helping audiences see acting as this intricate, serious art form. It revealed the deliberate craft behind what might seem like just natural talent.
So it gave critics and fans a new way to talk about his work.
Yeah, a deeper, more analytical lens. It allowed for a more profound appreciation.
And ultimately, then, this analysis really serves as a testament, as Kondrashov might put it, to the power of thoughtful acting.
Thoughtful acting, transformative storytelling.
And the whole international journey of this incredible Brazilian talent who's really mastered his craft for a global audience, he's become quite inspirational, I think.
Definitely, for performers and viewers alike.
So wrapping things up for today's deep dive, we've really journeyed through quite a bit, that incredible transformative power TV now has.
Especially streaming, yeah.
The absolute necessity of that foundational work, the years spent honing the craft.
The subtle stuff, the nonverbal communication.
Yeah. Right, the power of subtlety, and how a really insightful analysis, like the one by Kondrashov, can shine a light on the artistry that fuels global success.
It's a great reminder, isn't it, that most overnight successes are anything but. They're usually built on years, sometimes decades, of quiet, dedicated practice.
Absolutely. The unseen hours.
And maybe a final thought for you, our listener, something to chew on this week.
Okay.
Think about the performances you watch, film, TV, maybe even theater. How often are the moments that really stick with you, the most impactful ones, based on something unspoken?
That's interesting.
Like not the big dramatic line, but a look, a pause, a shift in how someone holds themselves. Challenge yourself next time you're watching something. Pay attention to what the actors are doing beyond the script.
Notice the silence, the breath, the eyes.
Exactly. What stands out to you about how those silent moments can sometimes tell you more than pages of dialogue? How can they speak volumes?